Today on The Charge Up, athletics went pink across the board in recognition of breast cancer awareness. Football looks to remain unblemished in conference play. Volleyball continues to dominate in the final stretch, and of course, we'll finish things off in our fast break. It's all coming up on The Charge Up. Welcome back, everyone. This is The Charge Up. I'm James Cassidy, and with me today is Devin Maida and Christy Geronimo. How was your fall break, guys?
Fantastic.
Yeah, pretty relaxing, ready to get back to it.
Sounds perfect. Let's get to the action. First, Kiana Quinones gives us a look at the festivities surrounding Pink Weekend.
There was music, food, football, and fanfare all weekend. Sam Sorbello and the Pink Clover Foundation visited the University of New Haven for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The last time Sam visited campus, he wasn't alone, and it was in honor of his late wife, Colleen Sorbello, that he returned again. Pink Weekend on the University of New Haven's campus kicked off with the dedication of the Colleen Sorbello Research Lab in Dodds Hall. The biology lab, according to Sam, is a dream come true.
When we met with President Kaplan in the biology department, and when we left the meetings, left the discussions, that's when Colleen knew. She said, yeah, I want any money or anything we do to be partnering with the University of New Haven, because for her it was something that she can see.
There were many in attendance, including the Chargers football team. During the Sorbellos' first visit to campus in 2015, they had the opportunity to get to know the players, and a few in particular stood out.
Especially two in particular, Mark Clemens and Aji Patterson. Colleen had a special bond with the two of them for different reasons. Aji was just a good guy that gave her a big hug and comforted her, and Mark had a similar story. He had cancer as well.
Colleen and her story reached even the communications department. The department's In Conversation series recently hosted a talk with a professor of surgery at the Yale School of Medicine on behalf of the Pink Clover Foundation.
This whole series is preventive care for young women, and
You can find the full package on chargerbulletin.com. Football defeated Stonehill Saturday 12-7, extending their win streak to 7 games. Guys, what has been the secret to their continued success?
Really good game planning by coaching, I think, especially in the Assumption game, because I want to go back to that game too, because that was huge. That was a big game for them, especially in the NE10, because they were both tied at 5-0 or 6-0 in the conference, and so we needed to win that game. It was the first time we beat them in a few years, so that was huge. I was at that game. That was awesome. It was fantastic. That was the loudest I've ever heard that stadium ever. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. The refs tried to give that game away at the end. Some questionable calls, but the coaching game plan for that whole game was fantastic. The defense shut down. I thought that game was going to be a shootout, especially because
Assumption
45 points per game on offense.
Yep, definitely.
We shut them down for 3 quarters, essentially. It ended up
Shut
being close in the end, but that was all on defense, that win there. So defense has been one of the biggest catalysts for this team.
Yeah, it also shows the versatility of this team. How against Assumption, Aji Patterson's throwing it left and right, 4 touchdowns, 215 yards, and then against Stonehill, on a rainy day, only 48 yards passing, but then the run game took over, and they were able to score that way instead of throwing it through the air.
In all honesty, I think the game against Stonehill almost showed more about this team than the game against Assumption did. Because I was watching that game against Stonehill, and it was pouring, windy, and really they fought through those conditions. And in the end, again, the defense kind of came through for that team and stopped Stonehill on that final drive to clinch a 12-7 win. That's not a score you see very often in a football game.
Especially with this team, the offense has been going.
Honestly, it's true. As you were talking about, the offense has been really hard to stop. Aji Patterson's still #1 in the NE10 in touchdowns. So who else on this offense do you think is really going to come through in these final games in the season and going into postseason?
Well, I think Juwan Williams, as always, has been the go-to guy down the field.
He's unstoppable.
Yeah, and he's scoring touchdowns left and right, making great catches. Against Assumption, he was on a comeback route, and he just like caught it out of nowhere. Like I didn't know how he caught it.
No, you didn't
It's
expect
crazy.
that. Oh, that was insane.
Yeah.
And with Juwan Williams, he's opened up for Joe Keiko, who's been lighting it up
Yeah,
too.
former baseball
Yeah.
player.
Joe
He's lighting
Keiko
up
has
on
been a
baseball.
star of the
Yeah.
charge up, which is in another sport.
Yeah. But now he's making his name for himself on football, so I gotta love it.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about this team is that they have 3 traits that I've seen in past championship teams, like that I've played for, that I've seen on TV, in the pros, the major leagues. They have discipline, heart, and the will to win at any point. At any point in conditions, whatever the other team brings them, they fight through. They change the game plan when they have to. They adjust, and it's a great overall team effort and great chemistry across the board.
Yeah, they don't blink when they face adversity.
And I think that fact has been seen in the region as the football team came in at number 3 in the last East region. How big do you think that is for the team's confidence, seeing that around the country, they're looked at as one of the best teams in this area of the country?
They've actually moved up to number 2 now. We just
There you
checked
go.
today, and that's got to boost more confidence than ever. I got to think, but they got to stay humble, like they've been. They've been very humble this whole time, but they do play with that swagger and confidence that they can beat anybody, regardless of who they're playing and the circumstances.
Yeah, send a message to everybody in any 10 that we're here to stay and we're here to play, and we're going to beat you any day of the week.
Very true. Football will look to make it 8th straight Saturday when they take on St. Anselm at Delacamera Stadium. Kickoff is scheduled for 1 p.m.
Volleyball picked up another win Saturday after defeating Southern New Hampshire in 4 sets. What are the expectations for this team with 3 games left to play?
Well, I think the expectation is that they're going to keep on dominating, obviously, going into the NE10 tournament. They have 3 games left, as you said, easy schedule coming up. So I think they should take these 3 games as like practice for the NE10 tournament, just get everybody back healthy, get everybody back together, and continue to dominate.
I agree with Deej on this one. It's really looking at this team. They honestly look better in the last couple of games than they did earlier on in the season. We're starting to see production come from players that had shown signs that they could be big players for this team, but are now consistently putting up numbers. Freshman Ruby Farah had, I believe, 12 kills in the last game. That's a sign we haven't seen really since the first weekend of the season when she was named NE10 Rookie of the Week. And then Camille Garden, again, showing that she is a force in the middle for this team, with with a double-digit kill against.
Yeah, she had 12 also, and 3 blocks too. So a big presence in the middle
really
right there.
Putting this together, the balance is coming to full fruition, and this is the perfect time to do it right before the tournament.
I really think volleyball has shown that they are still the force in not only the NE10, but the East region for the NCAA. They were named number 1 in the East region, and they really haven't shown any signs that they aren't the number 1 team. They've shown in conference, out of conference, doesn't matter who they play, they're going to come and they're going to just destroy who's ever in their way.
Yeah, the scary thing is that this team lost to Adelphi, so obviously they've learned from that loss, and they kept going throughout the whole rest of the season. I think the last 3 out of 5 matches have been sweeps, so they obviously learned what they had to learn and bringing it to the rest of the season.
Well, let's hope they keep playing loose and keep getting those dubs. Volleyball will travel down the road Tuesday in a non-conference matchup against Bridgeport.
Both men's and women's soccer seasons came to an end this weekend, with both teams missing postseason berths. Guys, how did the team stack up against competition this year?
I think what we saw was that though they showed signs this season, they were just the lower tier of the NE10, in my opinion. Women's soccer really didn't get their season really rolling at any point. They had a couple games where they showed signs of what they could be, and even in the future years, there are definitely pieces that could be big for this team down the line, but never really came through this year. And I think men's soccer, we kind of saw what they could be in their last couple of games of the year. They won 2 of their last 3 games during the season, and I think that showed that this team, they could definitely be a force in the NE10 next season and a couple seasons down the line.
Yeah, they just need to figure out some just consistency. That just for both teams. I think they have the pieces. It was a big transition year for both teams. I think it was just not enough consistency, and you'd like to see. No one really had that game that was going to spark them, like football or volleyball. They either had a few matches or games that clearly sparked and boosted confidence. We thought the men's, after that double overtime win, they were going to do it, but it never really came. They went up and down. It was too much of a roller coaster or too much of just staying down. but we'll see. The future, the arrow is pointed up, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the men's was those overtime losses and wins. When you go to overtime, it tires you out, it drains you. So they have to find a way in the future to win in regulation and stack those wins up, because obviously they were in contention in the last game of the season. They almost made the tournament.
Their confidence was up. You want to see, that was their problem. Their confidence was never high enough to maintain some kind of momentum.
And they never showed against teams that were lower than them in the standings. They never showed that they were the higher team in the standings. They would play down to other teams, and we ended up having losses against a couple of teams that were below us in the NE10 standings, which in the end cost us a playoff
That's
spot.
going to hurt, yeah.
One interesting fact is that both teams are graduating 7 players. So it gives both teams a chance to rebuild and redistribute the culture of New Haven soccer and just rebuild everything from the ground up, basically.
Yep.
So we'll see how that works out.
Yes.
Definitely.
Men's and women's soccer will return again in fall 2019.
And now time for our fast break. Women's tennis lost in the first round of the NE10 tournament to Lemoyne, 4-1. Tennis will return again in the spring.
Field hockey suffered a shutout Saturday as they lost to St. Anselm 6-0. They will travel to Massachusetts Wednesday to take on Assumption.
Midnight Madness tipped off basketball season. The women's team will hit the road this Sunday for their season opener.
Okay. As always, visit thechargerbulletin.com for our up-to-date sports news. Go to newhavenchargers.com for live game footage. I'm James.
I'm Devin.
And I'm Chris. See you next week on The Charge Up.